Sparkling, fierce, disruptive, and one hell of a performer. Introducing Deadlock's newest hero, the Dazzling Celeste. Even in Deadlock's magical world, Celeste is a true rarity. She's the real deal, a genuine unicorn. With her acrobatics and show-stopping flair, she leaves Coney Island sideshow visitors in absolute awe. Now looking to seek help from the patrons to save her found family, she steps out of the shadows of circus performance and right into the middle of the Cursed Apple's biggest event. The ritual beckons, and Celeste has answered the call.
You are about to see something rare and wonderful. I've lived in the shadows my whole life, and I'm tired of it.
I'm your host, Daisy Powers, and you're watching today's Dead Air Hero Spotlight on the magical Celeste. So sit back, subscribe, and get ready to be dazzled. First and foremost, we have to showcase the incredible attention to detail on Celeste's model and animations. I'm sure you may have already seen glimpses, but here it is again in all of its 4K glory. Hands down, this is some of my favorite animation sets in the game and possibly the best animated hero out of the new 6 from this entire voting event. But the 6 new heroes aside, her zipline animation is a new top contender for the best in Deadlock, with this unique pose and animation looking truly awesome. Even her climbing animation has so much flavor and flair. She will cartwheel back and forth during her dash animation, serving Coney Island circus flair, and her air dashes feature some sparkle and shine, with Celeste throwing out poses and lighting up New York with her impeccable style. Another thing about her is that she's floaty, with a unique built-in movement passive due to her acrobatic finesse, granting her significantly reduced gravity and increased air strafing control, allowing her to prance around the Cursed Apple as a magical horse girl. Celeste is clearly too much for Z-Block and has a bunny hopping script built in. Archmother, she's doing it sideways. Her slide animation as well is so full of personality and truly showcases her fierce show-stopping power. Moving on to her outfit though, let's zoom in and take a closer look at some of her details. Sparkles and stars are a huge part of her visual theme, with her costume, tattoos, and jewelry all featuring different depictions of Celestia. And to mention the amazing tattoos all over her body, I'm particularly fond of the little dog wearing a princess hat on her leg. Look at that little fella go. When it comes to Celeste's weapon, she wields her circus baton dubbed with the name Carny Life, burning blue flames bright on each end. This could be one of the most unique non-gun weapons we've had in the entire game. The firing and reload animations are both particularly cool, with her spinning the baton to shoot fire and throwing it up in the air for the duration of the reload. The projectiles fired will travel an incredible distance and ricochet off of walls upon contact, bouncing in the opposite direction. However, it even has a hidden mechanic built in. It'll target enemies within a close enough radius of the bounce and auto-snap to them. This allows for some unique gunplay. She has a massive fall-off range to play with. The game even says not applicable for this value in her weapon stats screen, basically being able to fire her projectile from one side of the map to the other, as it'll only begin to despawn after its first wall bounce, causing it to ricochet. Alongside that, having a respectable 8-round ammo count to play with and easily building rate of fire. With her kit's amps, she can launch out balls of fire like no tomorrow. Her weapon also projects a light source when near surfaces, similar to Rem and Graves' light mechanics. For her melee, the light attack depicts her clobbering her foes with her baton as she uppercuts it forward with a striking pose. But her heavy melee makes use of the mighty unicorn horn that's a prominent part of her character. She'll launch herself forward with the horn charged in a mystical glow and literally stab her enemies with the horn. She'll block incoming punches with her baton as she strikes a pose in her parry animation. All of these are so cool. But her kit is where things get really crazy, full of crowd control, flashing lights, and damage amps. So, without further ado, let's delve into the razzle-dazzle behind Celeste's abilities. Her first ability is dubbed Light Eater, and she will blow the blue magical flames from her baton, igniting players in a spirit damage cone AoE in front of her, allowing Celeste to siphon spirit lifesteal from the enemies debuffed by it. You'll want to coat enemies in her light Then attack them with her weapon to capitalize off of the increased damage dealt. This operates similar to Venator's Gut Shot and can be fired at different verticalities by aiming higher to coat enemies at higher elevations in the debuff. AP upgrades will grow the ability's power in the following categories. Tier 1 will reduce the cooldown. Tier 2 will increase range and increase spirit lifesteal percentage. And finally, Tier 3 will increase the damage and buff her spirit scaling growth with the ability. Stand too close to this fire and you'll get burned. Her second ability is known as Dazzling Trick. Celeste surrounds herself in a crystal prism barrier that grants increased movement speed for a short period, alongside silencing enemies around her upon being destroyed by incoming damage and dealing damage to anyone close by. This is where the disruptive part of her kit really comes into play, forcing you to think fast playing against Celeste to avoid dumping damage when her Dazzling Trick is up, and silencing yourself, as the effect will not proc if the barrier expires rather than being destroyed. You'll need to think on your feet fighting Celeste and monitor her usage of this barrier to avoid self-silencing. So communicate with your team and monitor her cooldowns to coordinate the best time to dive her in lane or team fights. AP upgrades will improve Dazzling Trick as follows. At Tier 1, even more bonus move speed. At Tier 2, increased barrier size and superior spirit scaling for barrier growth. And at Tier 3, you'll increase the silence on break duration and allow her ultimate Shining Wonder to bounce off herself when Dazzling Trick is activated, letting you bridge the gap between enemies. We'll talk more about that later. Overall, this barrier is a powerful and annoying ability if you time it right in games. And if you're enjoying today's Hero Spotlight on Celeste, why not consider joining our YouTube members program and becoming a Deadhead today? It goes a long way to support myself and Jackie making Deadlock content full time, and lets us dedicate the time and passion to videos like this. Otherwise, an easy way to support us is to subscribe and ring that notification bell, but let's get back to the showcase. Her third ability is called Radiant Daggers, a charge-based ability that allows her to call down daggers of light from the sky. After a brief period, the beam will fully form and a blast of spirit damage will detonate from the explosion. It will deal great damage to all of those within the area of effect, and granting a stacking buff that'll amp her spirit damage per stack anytime this hits a hero. This ability is a point-and-click target-based attack, allowing you to choose the location you want the AoE to form. Be aware of the short period of time you have to evade this attack and quickly dash outside the circle of light before it triggers. You'll visually see if Celeste has built up her damage amp and fire rate buff by her unicorn horn glowing with a sparkle forming on the tip. The brighter the glow and visual effects, the stronger the amp stacks. Pretty neat detail from Valve, by the way. In regards to the AP upgrades, at Tier 1 you'll unlock more charges of the ability. Tier 2 will reduce the cooldown and increase the impact damage. And finally, Tier 3 will bump up the power of her Spirit Amp and grant fire rate increase per stack. And finally, her ultimate, Shining Wonder, will be an instant classic for those Dota 2 fans among us. Reminiscent of Lich's ultimate, she will summon a shining orb of light that is fired as a skill shot projectile. You'll launch the orb towards your foes, and once it makes contact, it will apply a movement and dash debuff alongside bouncing to the next enemy hero within a very forgiving radius, dealing a large burst of spirit damage over and over. This will bounce again and again, so use within close grouping of multiple enemies is key. Mid-boss fights and team fights are times where Celeste will thrive with Shining Wonder. When playing against her, you'll want to practice social distancing and keep yourself as far apart as possible to stop the orb from having another target to jump onto. However, if Celeste has her upgraded Tier 3 Dazzling Trick off cooldown, she can use it to bridge the gap between enemies and keep the orb bouncing. This means you could even stand directly on top of a solo enemy, use her ultimate and barrier to rapidly bounce the orb back and forth, dealing tons of damage fast in solo fights. So timing and kit interplay between these two abilities is an absolute must for maximum damage playing as Celeste. AP upgrades for the ultimate will give Celeste these bonuses. At Tier 1, you'll debuff enemies' movement even more. at Tier 2, you'll deal extra damage. And finally, Tier 3 grants a drastically larger bounce cap to the ability and reduces the cooldown. So remember, if you see that orb coming at you, get the hell away from Celeste and your teammates. For a quick overview of her vitality and stamina stats, she'll have a super reasonable starting HP to play with, alongside being very quick and having lots of stamina. Interestingly, Celeste has 4 stamina to play with at base level, breaking the trend of nearly all human girl heroes in Deadlock only having 2 stamina charges. Guess the time spent in the circus paid off for us movement enjoyers. All in all, Celeste is quick, cunning, and one speedy hero that glides into action, applying debuffs to hero foes, causing panic, and silencing her foes all in one quick swoop. Her kit innately causes teams to scramble, so learning the timing between her cooldowns is going to be key in taking her down without accidentally being a detriment to your team. Her movement options will even convince the biggest Holiday and Lash fans to give it a go. But I do hope you enjoyed today's video showcasing the newest Deadlock hero, Celeste. If you did, please consider subscribing, liking the video if you enjoyed it, disliking if you didn't, and commenting your favorite part about Celeste's kit or design. Or just commenting, "Great job, Daisy, wow, amazing voiceover," now. But if you really enjoyed it, please consider becoming a Deadhead and joining our YouTube members program. For now, that's everything we've got time for. I'm off to Coney Island to watch the Dazzling Celeste perform some absolute magic. So I'll see you next time. I've been your host, Daisy Powers from Dead Air, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.